Hello and welcome to Cricket House Gaming. Here at Cricket House Gaming, we like to explore the gameplay of simulation games, usually through a series of Let's Plays. In this episode, we continue to explore the gameplay of Democracy 4. Democracy 4 is a political sim that lets you choose the role of a world leader and govern a country. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in, be sure to hit that like button. And if you're new here, welcome, and be sure to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss any future episodes. As Prime Minister of Canada, we are presently entering the fourth year of our second term as Prime Minister, so let's get into this. Religious symbols in school. There's an urgent policy question that requires your immediate attention. There's pressure for us to introduce a law to ban the wearing of religious symbols in state schools by students. This would include the wearing of the hijab by female Muslim students and the wearing of cross by Christian students. Introduce the ban. School is a place for children to learn, not to display their religious allegiance. By ensuring all students dress the same, we can ensure there is equality and integration of all religions with no discrimination. This is a logical extension of the separation of religion and state. People are free to dress how they like in churches and mosques, but not in state schools. Reject the ban. This is nothing short of discrimination against Muslims. No one really expects this law to be used to prevent the wearing of Christian crosses. It exists purely as an excuse to ban Muslim students from dressing as they wish. This will cause division and segregation and is the recipe for religious tension in schools. I am selecting reject the ban. The liberals are unhappy at -2%. The religious are happy at +3%. Situation imminent. Our data is showing that we have a potentially bad situation, cyber warfare, on our hands if we do not act soon. Budget report. Our credit rating is worryingly just a triple B. We need to fix this either through growing our GDP, cutting expenditure, or increasing taxation. Cabinet reports. The loyalty of your ministers can best be described as loyal. Their effectiveness is generally considered to be passable. Polls report the people are indifferent to your government. We estimate getting 55% of the vote in an election. Let us continue. We're having cyber warfare. It is affecting our foreign relations. We are going to look into foreign aid. Some foreign countries have very poor economies, poor education, and food shortages. This can be argued that the relatively rich nations, such as ours, have a moral duty to help them. Others may argue that the first priority to any nation is its own citizens. If those citizens wish to help, they can do so individually through charities. We now have low foreign aid. Let us use for political capital and raise this to medium. This greatly affects our foreign relations. We are seen as compassionate. Let us apply the changes. We have 11 political capital to spend. I'm going to put some points in intelligence services as we are addressing cyber warfare. Security services are an essential tool in the fight against organized crime and terrorism. Good, reliable intelligence can be difficult and expensive to obtain, and in many cases the methods employed can be unpopular with liberals and human rights advocates. This is 0% popular with the vote, but we are dealing with cyber warfare. We now have high-tech spy service. We can use for political capital and go to a spy satellite network. Let us apply the changes. We have 7 political capital to spend. Our country needs to raise some money. We are also dealing with pollution. A carbon tax is a tax levied on all emissions of carbon dioxide, thought to be the main cause of climate change. The tax is effectively a pollution tax and a way to make those individuals and industries who contribute to climate change pay for the damage they cause and reduce emissions. Obviously, the tax is popular with environmentalists and can also lead to more energy efficient economy. We're going to use 7 political capital and we are going to raise this to 64%. We are going to apply the changes. We have 0 political capital, and thus we are at the end of our first term of our fourth year of our second term as Prime Minister of Canada. Let's hit that button. We are now entering the second term of our fourth year of our second term as Prime Minister of Canada. Let's see how we did. The GDP is down. Cyber warfare. We have been alerted to the significant problem of cyber warfare against our businesses and infrastructure. This is having a damaging effect on our economy. Our nation suffers from a serious problem of deliberate cyber warfare conducted by a combination of rival governments, criminal organizations, and international terror groups. By paralyzing our internet infrastructure, these attacks can cause widespread chaos. There is also a problem of trade secrets being stolen by foreign companies, which will affect our competitiveness abroad and thus our GDP. Openly gay leader. An openly gay politician has been elected as leader of the opposition. Representation at the highest level of government has resulted from sustained campaign against against sexual discrimination in our society. This has increased liberalism by plus 6%. Situation imminent. Our data is showing that we have a potentially bad situation, bureaucracy on our hands if we do not act soon. Budget report. Our credit rating is worryingly just a triple B. We need to fix this either through growing our GDP, cutting expenditure, or increasing taxation. Cabinet report. The loyalty of your ministers can best be described as loyal. Their effectiveness is generally considered to be passable. Polls report. The people are indifferent to your government. We estimate getting 51% of the vote in an election. We have 15 political capital to spend. Intelligence services. Security services are an essential tool in the fight against organized crime and terrorism. Good, reliable intelligence can be difficult and expensive to obtain, and in many cases the methods employed can be unpopular with liberals and human rights advocates. We will use 4 political capital in intelligence services, and we will apply the changes. Refugee policy. This will help our foreign relations. Most countries accept that they have a moral responsibility to take in migrants from disaster zones or war-torn countries, but there's a strong debate on how loose these restrictions and limits should be, especially if climate change and other factors lead to a large rise in global refugees. This is 93% popular with the vote. Right now we have fleeing persecution as our refugee policy. Let us invest 3 political capital to increase fleeing persecution and apply the changes. We have 8 political capital to spend. To raise money for our government, frequent flyer tax. This tax is charged only on passenger taking multiple flights a year. The idea behind it is both to reduce the amount of air travel normally for environmental reasons while still allowing the average income citizen access to air travel for the occasional holiday. Let us invest 6 political capital in this, raise it to maximum. We will be raising over $2 billion. Let us apply the changes. We have 2 political capital remaining. We will put our last 2 political capital into science funding. In some countries, the majority of research is funded by private companies. State-sponsored science can be useful for investing in very long-term research projects or those that may not be commercially rewarding. The benefits of state sector research are freely available to the entire population rather than patented by corporations. This is 100% popular with the vote. We're going to use our last 2 political capital to put some more money in electron microscopes. We will apply the changes. We have 0 political capital, and thus we are at the end of our second term of our 4th year of our second term as Prime Minister of Canada. Let's hit that button. We are now entering the 3rd term of our 4th year of our second term as Prime Minister of Canada. Let's see how we did. Attendant LGBT play. There is an urgent policy question that requires your immediate attention. A very well received and popular play is current at our country's finest theatre. The director has invited you to attend the performance. This would not be an issue, but the play is a commentary on society's attitudes to those in the LGBT community. Attending the play will be seen to show strong sympathy to the LGBT movement. Attend the play. This is a political easy win, as attending the play does not cost anything or involve any legislation whatsoever, but allows you to show some interest in and sympathy with the LGBT community. It would be tasteless to turn down the invitation. Decline the invitation. You do not have to accept every invitation that comes your way. The director is obviously cynically trying to use the invitation to force a show of support for his agenda, which is unseemly and cynical. Not attending the play is a perfectly reasonable response. No, we're going to attend the play. The Liberals are happy at plus 8%. The Religious is down at negative 10%. Budget report. Our credit rating is worryingly just a triple B. We need to fix this either through growing our GDP, cutting expenditure, or increasing taxation. Cabinet report. The loyalty of your ministers can best be described as loyal. Their effectiveness is generally considered to be passable. Polls report. The people are indifferent to your government. We estimate getting 56% of the vote. Let's look at our cabinet. This law and order minister, we have to deal with her. Let us fire the law and order minister. I'm thinking of hiring Remy Gauthier. He is environmentalist and liberal. He is 53% suitable for this position, while he is not as suitable as some of the others. He is closer to our leanings right now, so let's hire him. It has not affected our cabinet very much, so let's continue. We have 15 political capital to spend. Hybrid cars are less damaging to the environment because at slower speeds they use electric engines that produce no CO2. They also get higher fuel efficiency, thus reducing the demand for oil. The downside is they're very expensive, but tax incentives can encourage more people to buy hybrid models when they get new cars. This will take 1 quarter to implement. This will reduce oil demand. The motorists will be happy. The environmentalists will be happy. It'll be easier to transition to electric cars. Car usage will improve. The environmentalists will improve. Let's implement this change. Let's go all the way to maximum and apply the change. We have 6 political capital remaining. Car emission limits. Setting legal limits on exhaust fumes helps reduce air pollution, especially in cities, but it's unpopular with motorists who look upon it as yet more bureaucracy and tax. This is 42% popular with the vote. We still have a pollution issue in our country. I'm going to invest 2 political capital in this, and I am going to apply the changes. We have 4 political capital remaining. We had an embarrassment with recycling a few terms back, so we are going to invest in some recycling. This is 100% popular with the vote. Supporters of recycling argue that dumping waste in landfills just isn't a long-term solution, and the government needs to show the way by providing facilities to recycle as many waste materials as possible. This might include recycling newspapers, cardboard, bottles, and even some plastics. Right now we have a poster campaign. We are going to invest 2 political capital and institute bottle banks. Let's apply the changes. We have 2 political capital to spend. Enterprise investment scheme is a system which gives tax breaks to the wealthy individuals who invest their money in small startup companies which are based in this country. The scheme encourages investment in companies which should eventually grow and stimulate the economy, whilst at the same time giving popular tax breaks to people who invest in them. Obviously, indirectly, the scheme is being subsidized by those without savings to invest. Yet this is 100% popular with the voters. Let us invest 2 political capital in this and apply the changes. We have 0 political capital remaining, and thus we are at the end of our 3rd term of our 4th year of our 2nd term as Prime Minister of Canada. Let's hit that button. We will now be entering the 4th term of our 4th year of our 2nd term as Prime Minister of Canada. Let's see how we did. The GDP is up. Uncompetitive economy. The earlier problems of lack of competitiveness by our companies has now subsided. Credit rating downgraded. Major international credit agencies have downgraded the status of your government debt. This is likely to have a knock-on effect on GDP as foreign companies become wary of investing in our economy. It will also result in the interest rate we pay on our debt rising. There is a good chance this will upset our capitalist voters too. You should take action to regain credibility with the ratings agencies by reducing the level of debt as soon as possible. Your current credit rating is now a double B. The capitalists are unhappy at -5%. The GDP is down at -3%. Business confidence has dropped at -15%. Budget report. Our credit rating is worryingly just a double B. We need to fix this either through growing our GDP, cutting expenditure, or increasing taxation. Cabinet loyalty. The loyalty of your ministers can best be described as loyal. Their effectiveness is generally considered to be passable. Polls report the people are indifferent to your government. We estimate getting 54% of the vote in an election. Let us continue. We have 15 political capital to spend. Packaging tax. Even with recycling, the use of excess packaging can be an environmental disaster. One solution is taxing the production or use of packaged materials. This gives business an incentive to work on more effective designs for their product packaging. This is 94% popular with the vote. This will lower the GDP. The environmentalists will be happy. Everyone's income will go down. The environment will improve. Let's implement this policy. We will raise it all the way to the end. This will raise about $0.80 billion. Let's apply the changes. We have 6 political capital remaining. Enterprise investment scheme. The enterprise investment scheme is a system which gives tax breaks to the wealthy individuals who invest their money in small startup companies which are based in this country. The scheme encourages investment in companies which should eventually grow and stimulate the economy, whilst at the same time giving popular tax breaks to people who invest in them. Obviously, indirectly, the scheme is being subsidized by those without savings to invest. This is 100% popular with the vote. Let us go all the way to the end and use 2 political capital. Let's apply the changes. We have 4 political capital to spend. Electric car initiative. The introduction of a standardized nationwide recharging system for electric cars has led to the increased sales of such vehicles. Encouraging the acquisition of electric cars reduces our country's dependency on oil. Environmentalists are happy about every car that does not emit carbon dioxide. Right now, our public transport is electric. Let us use 2 political capital to transition taxis into being electric. Let us apply the changes. We have 2 political capital remaining. Let us use our last 2 political capital and invest in science funding. In some countries, the majority of research is funded by private companies. State-sponsored science can be useful for investing in very long-term research projects for those those that may not be commercially rewarding. The benefits of state sector research are freely available to the entire population, rather than patented by corporations. This is 100% popular with the vote. Let us use our last 2 political capital to invest in electron microscopes. Let us apply the changes. We have 0 political capital remaining, and thus we are at the end of our 4th term, of our 4th year, of our 2nd term as Prime Minister of Canada. And thus we are at the end of our episode. Thank you so much for stopping by our Crooked House. If you like what you saw, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you want to follow our future episodes. It really helps us out. Have a great week. See you soon.